With 20 years experience, I'm showing you guys how to draw 100 things over 100 videos. And today we had the Crazy Sal. We're going to jump straight into this one. Another one of my favorites. I absolutely love this. This is called the Crazy Sal. It's the old kind of classic skull with a hat on, like a cowboy kind of skull. You might recognize it as a cowboy skull, but it's commonly known as a Crazy Sal. It's got a really cool backstory, and if you like that, check the description below. I'll try and put the story in there, but yeah, it's got a really fun bit of history behind it. But for now, people, we're going to jump straight into this. I'm going to be using the iPad Pro, and this is going to be Procreate. You can follow along with anything you have loaded. Just copy what I do on here. I'm going to create a bunch of layers just on here, and the tools I'm going to be using are going to be real simple ones. So I'm going to go on here, and these are just pre-built ones that are already in Procreate. So you have all of these. The monoline, which is in the calligraphy section, the technical pencil, which is in the sketching section, the technical pen, which is in the pen section, the inking, the soft airbrush and the airbrush, and the spray paint and the spray paint. Real simple. So you have these exact ones to copy with. I'm just going to be using technical pencil to begin with, and I'm using dark reds pencil, so it's going to look like this. Nice and easy for you to see. We're going to make the outline first with pencil, and then come in, fine line it, yada, yada, yada. So we've got our layers here, so I'm going to create it. I'm just going to go a circle to begin with. I'm going to come down from that edge, create this kind of box shape, just like so. Create a little line just through the center of that. And then where this kind of line ends here, I'm going to curve this up and one through the middle. So now we kind of have this rough kind of box shape for a skull. I'm going to bring in a rough line just through the middle, like this. So what is it going to help us? It's going to help us work out where to put the nose, eyes, and mouth. So in the center point here, we want this kind of sort of triangle shape. So I'm going to sketch in a rough triangle just to begin with. We're going to have a circle placement just for the circle of the eye here. And this one over here, this one's going to be a bit bigger than this one. So this one's going to be smaller. This one's going to be a bit bigger. Just like that. I'm just going to create these oval shapes, just repeating these in, coming across this line like so. And that can be where our teeth go. A little line just through the middle. I'm going to create this little bump just here off the side for a cheekbone. And then this one, I'm going to bring this line across like this, and I can connect up to there. I'm going to create this little curve, just going to curve around the eye, just off here. So creating this little backspace just in the head. And now on the mouth here, we're going to create this little curved line just here. So it's going to connect from this back tooth bit we just done there up to here. And now I'm going to create this curve just off of here to create a jawline. We're going to bring this down, and this line down here, I'm going to make very kind of like wonky, like so. So I'm not trying to create like a realistic looking skull. It's kind of got this kind of caricature kind of element to it, just like that. Now the hat, I'm going to create this curve. So it's going to curve around the head like this, curve up around the back, and come around this way. So almost like this kind of infinity loop that kind of exists on the head. And then once you've got that, I'm going to create this line that's going to cut through this head, but just so around here, just for instance. So it kind of cuts and cuts into this part. And then we're going to curve up. We're going to create this little divot like this, create this kind of point bit on top, create this little kind of curve just there, and that can come down just around there. So that's the kind of hat shape we're going to go for. And now it always has the bandana underneath. So what we're going to do is kind of start with, just create a little ball shape that sits just a little bit underneath. I was lucky just a little bit away from the jaw, just a little bit. So we get that little kind of gap. I'm going to create this line curving here. This one's going to curve around here. I'm going to create a secondary curve. So it's like two kind of loops. This one can curve there, there. And then let's just shrink you down a bit so I can get full size on the paper. And now I'm just going to create this kind of like, sort of like teardrop shape on this side. And this side as well. It's just going to create that little kind of ruffle bit as it comes off. Like so. So that is the basic premise of the sort of shape of it. So now when you can kind of even things out. So here I just want this kind of ruffle maybe a little bit wider, just around there. I might make this jawline just a little bit more chiseled like here. So we can just kind of sketch that sort of shape in there. We have this hat here. And remember, when the hat comes in here, like this bit's going to cut off a bit here. So the hat sits on top. If you have the skull keep going up, it's like the skull's just going into nothingness, which we do not want. Inside the hat, I'm going to create this little curved line just here. And just here. I might thin this out just a little bit. Just there. And there. And this is the idea, the sketching part. You can kind of like re-sketch it, just keep going over it. You can kind of make it messy if you want. But it just helps you get everything where you kind of want it to be. And now this is our basic template guide. So a few things are going to change, but you're going to see me as I do, then I'm going to make it really obvious. So we're going to bring this down a little bit. So I'm just going to drag you down a little bit. I'm going to turn the transparency down just a little bit so you can still see it, but we can see our line over the top a lot clearer now. Go on the layer above. I'm going to select black. I'm going to go up to my monoline. Going to make my line a little bit thinner. Yeah, that's cool. So it's still nice and chunky, maybe just a little bit smaller. Just a little bit smaller. Yeah, there we go. So now we're going to zoom in and just get all our features so you can see exactly what I'm doing nice up close. So we have this nose to begin with. So I'm going to create this curve around, like so. So create this little kind of crevice in here, and that can exist in that space. Now the eye is going to sit around here. We're going to create this round, and it's going to be like a wavy kind of shape. Like I don't want it to be like too clean cut. I like this kind of like waviness of it. Same with this one. So we kind of go around this sort of shape and kind of create this wavy shape. Don't worry about kind of how it kind of necessarily fits. It's one of those ones that really helps kind of customize it a little bit. And I'm going to create a little detail on the inside of it now. So I'm going to create this kind of curve like this, and this. Same with this. I'm going to create a curve here, here, and here. Now, it might look a little bit random, but trust me, when we put the shading here, it's going to look really amazing. Now, we're going to go for the teeth. So I'm going to start off with this one just here. So I'm going to create this loop around like so. And each time it's going to curve off and kind of link up to it. Like so. And that would do. And I'm going to create this curved line, just cutting through the middle of them. Like this. Nice, that does a trick. Now on the outside here, I'm going to create this little curve, and that's going to curve, and it's going to go straight into that section just there. You can create a little line detail here if you want to, but it's not really necessarily needed. Now for this part, we're going to curve out, similar to we just done that, and that's going to curve up to there. Create a little line that goes around that part just there. Now for the jaw, take that line up just there. I'm going to create this line coming down like here, into the skull bit. And then this one's going to curve around just like here. I always like to make my jaw quite pointy. That is a personal preference. Now you can make it less pointy if you want to, but yeah, I don't know. Just think about a pointy jaw. I just really like it. Bringing our curved line just around like so. Then what you can do, if you struggle getting your lines perfectly matched up, what's a good little one you can do? Like now we can kind of off to edge, just around here. Come to around here first, and you can kind of hold it and it'll create that kind of straight edge for you. Any little bit overlaps, you can just hold your razor, which will select your pen as it. And then here, so when we've got this curve, like when you sort of do this, it only goes into one curve. So we're going to go from the curve bit here, kind of hold it a little bit, move that into place, so that kind of gets it nice and lined up. And then all you got to worry about is just trying to line up this part, which makes it a little bit easier. I say that, and now you watch me take 20 tries to do this. 2. 3. 4, that'll do. Not perfect, but it'll do. I'm going to create a little like detail just in the back of the skull bit, just over here. Just like this little crack at the back of the head. I'm always quite a fan of doing that. And now let's get this hat pie in here. So we're going to create this line just there. Now let's go up, curve around, curve down, curve, curve, curve. So now we've got a hat in there. So now let's get this little kind of like tie bit of the front bit. So I'm going to create this little line like this, loop around, just like that, real simple. You know what, actually, I'm going to slightly adjust it because it looks like a pair of, you know what, yeah. There we go, that's better. Sometimes you can just draw the most perfect line and it just doesn't quite look right, does it? So, we just erase it. That's what we do. Anyways, people. So yeah, just keep tracing these lines around the outside edge. Like so. I'm liking that. I normally have this curve coming off of here, but I quite like how this is going to be a bit higher. I normally start around here and curve down. But experimentation is always key. Create a little line just in the center part, just there. Create this one around, like so. And that will pretty much do it for our outline now. So I'm just going to get this last bit of the eye just here, this here. Just make sure everything's nice and connected up. Any other little detail lines you want to put in there? Like sometimes I like to put in this little line just underneath the eye bit. Just a nice little detail. But you can throw extra little lines if you want to. It's not needed though. So now let's turn off our line work. And we are left with our nice clean outline. So now we have our nice clean outline. What we're going to do, we're going to click on it and we are going to click reference. And now when it's set as reference, as you've probably seen me do 100 times, now you can click the selection tool and you click any area now, and it's going to select within it. If you get this annoying little white edge, just click and drag until the selection threshold is up in the high 90s. So to do that, you literally click, drag to the side, and you're going to see the slider, and just hold it till it stops around there. Bing, bang, bosh, easy done. Now, let's go underneath this. I'm going to create a layer underneath now, and we can start doing our shading. So I'm going to select medium nozzle, because I like to use that. You can use the airbrush if you want to, but this is just my kind of go-to one. I love using this. So we're going to select here to begin with. And I'm just going to start going around like this, like a really nice, soft, gentle brush. And as I get there, I'm going to just gently ease the pressure off just a little bit, like so. That's going to help us get the shade in there. And I'm going to select these little areas, which I know I want to be black. I'm going to sort of black infill these ones. And now those little spaces in the face we said about, I'm going to get this. I'm going to go black on the edges, like so. I'm going to turn this down a little bit. And I'm just going to go over the top, just get this nice kind of grey, like so. So not necessarily disappearing, but in there so I can kind of see it. I like that. Just turn it back up now because I want a solidness. So I'm going to select it. We're going to shrink this down just ever so slightly. And I kind of want to get this little shadow just underneath the hat. Nothing too crazy, just a little bit just underneath that corner bit just there. There we go. Now I'm going to select the freehand selection tool now, just so I can select a few little areas individually. So I'm going to get this part around here. I'm going to select just there. So I want this shadow to kind of exist behind this part just here. Now I normally tend to go quite heavy with this part just here. I tend not to put too much here, because if you put too much here, you tend to start losing the back head shape a little bit. It's not too bad like that, but if you go too much, you start to lose the back and then it kind of disappears, which we don't want. So now I'm going to go selection tool, all, and this one I'm going to do a bit in reverse. So I'm going to go like this initially, going over this area, but I'm going to erase part of it. So I'm going to hold down. So now selects my spray pen tool as the eraser tool. It doesn't really matter which one you have, Loge. We're erasing anyway, so. And I'm going to erase that gap that we had in between there. So it's just a little bit of shadow just underneath that part just there. And now I want a little shadow just around the teeth. Again, like so. Nothing too crazy. And I'm going to select this bottom jaw. A little bit just around them teeth. A little bit just on this bottom part of the jaw. And I'm going to use the selection tool. Now, I like this shadow to be on the inside part. You can select where you want it, if on the inside or the outside. But I like to have this little shadow just off of this line. It just works for me. I just like it. And then a little bit just off the back of that jaw. Just there. Now I'm going to come down to his cuff. So I'm going to get a little bit of black just around here. A little bit of black just around there. Just pretty much anywhere there's kind of like a corner, really, or just like that little edge part. Select the next two layers. Do the same thing just on these. Coming around here. Now we're going to add color into this part, so we don't want to go too insane with the black. But like I always say, when it comes to traditional, the more the black, the better sometimes. It really is just one of the most dominant and needed colors in traditional. A little bit of black just around the bottom part, just here. And I'm going to come up to the hats. Now, you can bring this black all the way across if you want, which I quite like doing, which I'm going to do. You can make it brown if you want, but I always like to have a little part black, and this part can have a little bit of brownness to it. But I'm going to bring it a little bit of black just here and here. And similar to how we just done a second ago, I'm now going to erase that part up to the bottom part of the line, because I don't want that part on the line. Just going to add a little bit of black just up this center part here. So I'm just going to go just gently flicking it up. Just I'm going to get a little shade just there. Nothing too crazy. Add a little bit just on that edge. A tiny bit on the top. That will do for me. And then a little bit just inside this bit there, just on the corner. I don't like to go too far, because I like this to stand out on its own, and I'll be using colour to sort of show that more. I think that'll do it for the shading for me on this part. You can put shade in the teeth, but I like to always leave the teeth quite white, and sometimes I put like a yellow tooth in there, which I'm probably going to do. So I'm going to initially go back to my red now. So I'm just going to select all the bits I want to have red. So probably going to go red for these, I think. Question is whether I'm going to leave any skin breaks or not. I do quite like it bold. No, it's going to go nice and bold today. You can leave a skin break there if you want to, but it's completely up to you. So I got there and a little bit of red just in there. I'm going to fade off to the edge. I'm going to select this top part of the hat now. I'm just going to go for this nice kind of caramel kind of brown tone. And I want skin breaks in this part of the hat, but I'm just going to go over those edges where we've done the shadows. And I'm basically making those shadows more dominant. I'm going to create a layer just above it now. So I want to go over these ones just here. But at the same time as well, I still want to be able to erase this bottom section just here, which I don't want overlapping. Lastly, I'm going to get me my classic yellow. Just going to drag and drop that onto there. And I might go yellow tooth maybe just there. And maybe one just there. I like that. I think that looks pretty cool, people. So that's how you draw a crazy Sal. Remember, this is a big set, so I'm going to go through like 100 different things. So by the time I'm done with all this, you're going to have a really good understanding of how to draw tattoo designs and all kind of crazy other stuff. So if you want to see more, check out the previous videos, check out the new videos, or subscribe to see more people, because there'll be plenty more coming. Whole big series, yeah. But for now, people, that's how you draw a crazy Sal skull. I'll see you next time. Peace.